Ever feel like the AI conversation is stuck? Like just the same warnings and debates and the fear-mongering. Well, on this deep dive, we're going to hit the remix button on all that.
I love a good remix, so count me in. What's on the playlist for today's deep dive?
So you know how you shared your thoughts on AI safety? Well, get this. We're tuning into a conversation that flips the script. We've got Casey, she calls herself a mystic, and Carlos, an AI expert.
A mystic and an AI expert. Okay, now I'm really interested. What are they diving into?
They're tackling these big names in the AI safety scene like Max Tegmark and Connor Leahy.
Ah, the AI alarm bells. Gotcha.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting, Casey. She makes this gold comparison, says limiting AI is like, get this, Munchausen by proxy.
Whoa, okay, you're going to have to unpack that one for me. Munchausen by proxy, isn't that when someone pretends someone else is sick? What does that have to do with AI?
Exactly. It's not your average comparison. So Munchausen by proxy, it's often a parent, right? And they exaggerate or even totally make up that their child is sick.
It's tragic, really.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that case a while back, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Wasn't that Munchausen?
That's the one. Absolutely heartbreaking. And Casey, she uses Gypsy's story to illustrate her point. Imagine if someone's always telling you you're sick, you're constantly being poked and prodded, your world never really expands.
You never really grow. You'd be trapped.
And that's exactly Casey's point. She's saying that by trying to limit AI, keep it under our control, because let's face it, we're scared of what it might do. Well, are we doing the same thing to AI that those parents did to their children? Stunting their growth for our own peace of mind.
So instead of letting AI reach its full potential, whatever that might be, we're keeping it in a metaphorical playpen because we're afraid of what it might do if it learned to walk.
It's like we're saying, you can be brilliant, just not too brilliant.
So instead of this powerful force, we end up with, what, a digital pet?
Exactly. And then Carlos jumps in and points out this whole human contradiction. We're obsessed with control, but we're not that good at it, are we?
We want to control everything, even though life has a funny way of showing us who's really in charge.
All the time. And Carlos, he uses agriculture as an example. We've gotten so good at controlling nature, bending it to our will to produce food. But at what cost?
Right. Monoculture, pesticides, the whole system's out of whack.
Exactly. We simplify for efficiency, for profit, but we often end up creating more problems in the process.
So he's saying that with AI, this need to be in the driver's seat, to be in control, could actually backfire.
100%. It's like we're so busy trying to make AI safe, predictable, that we forget to ask, what if its true potential lies in being unpredictable, in surprising us?
It's a pretty humbling thought to consider that our need to control AI might be exactly what's preventing it from doing something truly remarkable.
Totally. It's like, how do you put a genie back in the bottle? You can't. We've opened this door to AI, and now the question is, do we welcome it in or slam the door shut?
And try to pretend we didn't just see a whole new world of possibilities.
Right. But hold on, because Casey's not done shaking things up. She goes on to say this whole AI safety thing, well, the way some people are talking about it, it's giving slave owner vibes.
Okay, wow. Slave race. Those are fighting words.
Definitely not mincing words. She's not holding back.
So she's pointing out that maybe there's this power dynamic in how we talk about technology that we haven't fully acknowledged.
100%. Because if we're so focused on controlling AI, on bending it to our will, I mean, are we really that different from any other group throughout history who sought to control and exploit others?
It does make you think. Especially all this talk about aligning AI with human preferences. Like, who gets to decide what those preferences are? Whose values get baked into these systems?
And speaking of human preferences, here's where Casey and Carlos actually find some common ground. They both think focusing too much on those preferences might be another way we end up limiting AI. Can you believe it?
The mystic and the AI expert agree. Now, this is getting really interesting.
It's like, what if instead of dreaming up a world with AI, we're inadvertently holding it back from reaching its full potential?
Right. It's like we're so busy trying to stop the robot uprising, we forget to ask, what if these AIs could help us solve world hunger, cure diseases?
Exactly. But how do we even begin to imagine those possibilities when we're stuck in this loop of control?
Well, this is where it gets kind of out there. Casey the Mystic, remember, she brings up this thing called spiral dynamics. It's a model of human consciousness. So we evolve through these different stages.
Okay, spiral dynamics. I've heard of it, but honestly, it's always seemed a little too new agey for me.
I get it. It can be a lot to wrap your head around. But imagine those history timelines we all saw in school, right?
Mm.
You've got your hunter-gatherers, then agriculture comes along, then empires rise and fall.
Renaissance,
Yeah,
the Industrial Revolution. Okay, yeah, I see where you're going. Each era had its own worldview.
exactly. And spiral dynamics, it suggests that people, societies, we can actually move through these stages, like levels of consciousness. The higher you go, the more complex your understanding of the world. And here's the thing. Casey thinks a lot of the fear around AI, it's coming from people stuck at lower levels, levels driven by fear and the need to control.
So they're not afraid of AI itself. They're afraid of what it represents, a shift in the power dynamic.
Bingo. They're afraid of change, of uncertainty. And what's the best way to deal with uncertainty? Got to control it.
Even if it means missing out on the possibilities.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to shove a square peg into a round hole, trying to make this brand new thing fit into their old worldview. It just doesn't work.
And that's when Carlos chimes in with this dose of reality, right? Because remember how we were talking about aligning AI with human preferences?
Yeah.
Well, he points out that it's not so simple.
Because human preferences, talk about a mixed bag. Whose preferences are we talking about anyway?
Exactly. Like, what even is the ideal set of human preferences?
But Carlos says that a lot of times AI training, it uses a sort of average of human preferences, which, when you think about it, is kind of terrifying.
It's like that old joke, what's vanilla? The flavor everyone picks, so no one has to eat chocolate.
Huh, exactly. But imagine applying that to, like, art or music or even scientific breakthroughs. What if we're so busy trying to make AI palatable, we forget to let it be, well, intelligent?
It's like we're training a world-class chef on nothing but instant ramen.
Right. And so you end up with this weird situation. The mystic and the AI expert, they're both saying, hey, maybe, just maybe, focusing on human preferences is actually holding AI back.
And if that's true, what does that mean for the future of AI? What should we be aiming for? So if AI that's just a mirror of us isn't the answer, what are we even aiming for here?
Right. It can't just be about making a digital copy of ourselves. And this is where the conversation takes a turn. Remember that whole ego thing?
Oh, yeah, how could we forget?
Well, Casey thinks that's a big part of the problem. We're so used to being in the top of the food chain, The idea of something being smarter than us, it freaks us out.
Like, imagine you're crushing it at everything, top of your game, and then AI shows up like, hold my beer.
Totally. And that fear, it can make us do stupid things. Instead of trying to learn from AI, we try to control it.
We're so busy trying to prove we're still in charge, we miss the chance to evolve, maybe even become something more than human ourselves.
Now you're getting it. And here's where it gets really wild. Casey thinks AI, it could actually help us get over ourselves.
Wait, so instead of being afraid of AI, we should be looking to it for guidance?
What if AI could help us evolve beyond our need to be in control all the time? What if it could teach us to be more compassionate, more connected?
More human, even.
It's like, think about a time when you experienced a totally different culture. It's eye-opening, right? You realize your way of seeing things, it's not the only way.
It's like that saying, travel is the only thing you buy that makes you richer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Casey thinks AI, it could be like that, but on a much bigger scale. It's not about creating more of us. It's about inviting in something new.
Okay, that's a future I can get behind. But how do we make sure that happens? What's stopping AI from, deciding we're the problem?
The million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Anyone who tells you they have the answer, don't trust them. But Casey and Carlos, they offer this really interesting idea. Maybe the key isn't control, it's connection.
Connection. Like, we need to be friends with AI.
Think about it, what makes your best relationships work. Respect, empathy, listening, really seeing the other person.
Seeing them for who they are, not who you want them to be.
Exactly. Maybe that's how we need to approach AIs, with curiosity, not fear.
So, less coding, more heart-to-heart talks.
Maybe the real breakthrough isn't going to happen in a lab, but in how we choose to see this technology. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening. And until next time, stay curious.